All right, so last year, I know it's been a hell of a long time, but we started doing a makeover on the trailer. Finally, about a week ago, we got it painted and ready to go. You guys saw us putting new fenders on here, so we did new fenders. We made this little box up here in the front for that light there. I added another brake light. It never had one behind the fender here, so I had another brake light there. And then I got spotlights on here, and I put 4 spotlights up on the wall like we talked about. Let's take a peek over here and see them. So we got 2 up high in the center, and the ones on the driver's side turn out to the driver's side. So I got 2 up high and 2 down low. These ones on the outside here are down low, hopefully to shoot beside the tire and kind of show me when I'm bringing a vehicle up on. So we got new wiring on it, we got new paint on it, we sanded the whole thing down, we got new reflectors, we rewired all of the box up here for the winch and everything. I did have a circuit breaker inside before, was a 300 amp, and apparently the winch takes a 340, which I couldn't find a nice circuit breaker to do. So I just put a big on-off switch here for it and 2 large ports. So this is how I leave it hooked up when it's here in the shop on the battery tender. That'll keep the 2 batteries inside there all nice and charged. My dad came over and made a nice little wooden kind of organizer thing for down in the box. It's got little hidden cubby holes, it's got holes up top for your straps, etc. So tonight what we want to do is, I'm kind of corny, so I went on Amazon, I bought this rock light kit. So it's got 12 of these rock lights. I'm just trying to pull one out here. And these are made for like a truck or something to go in like your wheel well. We're gonna put 12 of these underneath the trailer. So as I'm running my rock lights or my, running lights on it, I'll have the underneath of the trailer glowing. I think it'll be nice at night if you have, get the ramps in and out or anything like that. And all the 6 kind of spotlights that I have to help you load a car or whatever, those are going BMC lights, BMC lights.com or something, I don't know, look them up, they're on Instagram and stuff. They make a harness called a rapscallion, and that is for my Super Duty, so I can use my upfitter switches there in the top. So all of those spotlights, if you are, or work lights, those will be off that upfitter switch in my truck if you're not driving my truck. So sorry, you're not going to be having the lights working on here. So all the rock lights, because I only have 1 switch available to do that, are going to be with the running lights, and all of the work lights are going to be off my harness. We got the tractor back here. We're doing some outdoor maintenance and leveling and all that kind of stuff outside, so we've been working on that. This poor thing, so this Mustang, you guys saw us years ago, or maybe a year, I don't know, it's been a while anyways. We started to take the motor out of it, we started to get this thing ready. Well, the owner's got a big push on it, and quite frankly, I want it done and out. So we're going to be pushing on this thing hard. This thing will be driving by spring, so that doesn't give us much time. The motor is over here. As you can see, I got a lot of the parts here on the bench, and the motor down to the short block. So I'm going to pull the rotating assembly out, and this motor was sitting for a while. I don't know if you'll be able to see it, but up here on the top of the lifter, you can see kind of that crud on there. So there is a bunch of dirt down inside of it. So we're going to yank this thing apart. I'm going to take it down to the engine machine shop and have them kind of hot tank it and get it all cleaned up, and then we'll start reassembling. So this thing will be done. That's why it's on this hoist, and I vow that he's not moving from that hoist until there is a heck of a lot of stuff done. So pushing on that. 06 Mustang. So obviously you guys know this car really well. We did a whole build on this one. Well, it's starting to get a little bit tired. Starting to burn a little bit of oil with the abuse or the fun that we have with it. So that thing is coming out, motor and trans. I got a new motor and trans right here. Motor, transmission right behind it. Those have 30,000 miles on them. So we're going to take the blower off of the car, drop it onto that motor. We have our stage 2 clutch. We're going to drop that on it, put the whole thing together and slide it up into the vehicle. And that way we can just get rid of this old one, or tired one, I guess you would say. And yeah, get something that we can rely on. Now, I went out and bought a forklift. Well, I bought one, sold it, bought another one, and here it is. So this one was kind of cheaper. It's an old Yale unit, runs on propane. Obviously it doesn't work because that's the way I buy a lot of stuff. So it needs a bunch of wiring stuff on it. and hopefully then we can get it going. So this thing, I had a couple minutes the other night. So all I did was pull all the covers off over top of the engine. This would be where the seat would normally go. I pulled out all that off. All the dash cluster, if you will, is right here. So I just yanked that out, and you know, some other wiring that was in it that didn't really make a ton of sense. So we yanked all that out. And I found that this solenoid right here, which is what lets the propane go from the tank through to the carburetor, that was not firing. So I jumped it with this red wire, and I got the thing to turn over. It backfired pretty good, and I stopped. So what we need to do is, obviously I need to go get some more propane because I don't know how much is in there, and then we'll continue. I will make sure to take you guys along for the ride on that. Now, 68 Mustang in all of its glory. You know what? Let me go turn the lights on. All right, so the 68 Mustang, we didn't film anything this year on this thing. There was a big thrash trying to get it done for the Woodward Dream Cruise there in August, and like usual, I missed it. So what was going on was I pulled the racket pinion steering out of it. I went back to like a stock style steering with a quick ratio steering box. We did the I Did It steering column in it, so we changed that. I went with the Holley, I believe it's a 5-inch or 6-inch dash. It's not the Pro Dash, but whatever. It's like the size of a cell phone. So I went with that. It has digital speedo and all that kind of stuff. Cleaned it all up. Put the new Holley on, which as you can see is a chrome unit. I used to have a black one, which I much prefer, but they didn't have it. Whatever. Anyways, long story short, put it all on. It ran great. I went to take it around the block, and the thing choked once, and then it just started backfiring and kind of started doing the same stuff that it did prior. So I came back in the shop really upset, parked it, and hadn't looked at it. Now, 2 nights ago I came out, which this is like probably 5-6 weeks after the incident, and I felt a little bit better about my life. So what I did was I went and cut all of the wiring out of the car. You can see I have some wiring here all wrapped up. There's wiring up on the thing, firewall. I pulled the MSD box out of it and started to go through it all. So what did I find? I found one ground that may or may not have been broken. So that could be an issue. Obviously I don't know because I didn't find it until after I was pulling everything out and going through all the wiring. And then what I found was the wiring for the system itself. I had it running through a 6 EFI box to fire the coil, and I decided that maybe I should pull all of that and go back to like an MSD doing the timing and the Holley doing just the fuel injection itself. So upon further investigation, it's not as easy as doing that because I need to then get rid of the MSD box that I have, get a 6 BTM so that it reads the boost and retards the timing. And anyways, long story short, I'm not going to go through that. So I'm going to rewire up the MSD box. I'm going to reinstall it. That way I can say that none of that wiring is wrong, if you will, and hopefully it works. Now, going through a lot of the issues, this is a problem that I had, and something that I have to kind of take on the chin and admit, and it is the spark plug wires. One of the spark plug wires melted on the header. As you can see back here, this back cylinder on the driver's side and the passenger side both are very tight to get a spark plug wire in. So I went with this style because they had 90-degree boots down there and they tuck up real nice to the valve cover. Now, this style here says that it's a silicone resistor core, and to me that says that it's okay, but upon further inspection, it is a solid core spark plug wire. And the problem with a solid core spark plug wire is apparently it creates RF issues, and that is potentially why I was having or have been experiencing the issues I've been experiencing with the Holley. So I went out and I was able to data log a bit of it, and the data log was running. It was running fine, and then boop, it went negative time, went backward, and the thing went all squirrely. And then I assume that's when the car started running like crap, and yeah, here we are. So this is an issue that I've been fighting for a while now, and honestly that's why I don't make a ton of content about it. It's because every time I try to use the car I get upset, and yeah, here we are. So my plan is going to be to rewire everything. I went and bought a RF detector. This was suggested to me by the guys at Holly, and that is going to help me, like a metal detector, figure out exactly where the RF is coming from, if there is any, when I go to fire it up this time. Now, if there is, he said you may not be able to get rid of all of it, and to make a little aluminum cover that'll kind of come off these two front bolts and then go up between the distributor and the computer. The computer's right behind this cover right here. So I got that. They also suggested I go and get superconductor spark plug wires. So I got 2 sets of these. One because, I don't know, with my luck I'm gonna melt it the first day I start it and I'm not gonna figure it out. And then I went and bought their nice spark plug crimping pliers. So I should be able to do all of this and hopefully get that thing going and potentially be happy for once. So I will keep you guys updated. Actually, I'd love to take you along for the ride to put this thing back together. So yeah, maybe we can drive it before the snow flies. Now, next thing is the mock. So obviously you guys have seen this mock before. It's always been up in the corner of the shop on a hoist underneath a car cover and kind of left alone. This thing is an 04. It has 5,000 kilometers on it, so about 3,000 miles. And as you can see from the dust right here, it yeah, obviously doesn't get used. So the plan with this one was I was going to pull the car down, do an oil change, do a coolant flush, you know, just kind of go through everything because it has been sitting. It is now very close to 20 years old. I'd have to look back at the original purchase paperwork, but it is damn close to being 20 years old. So I have changed the fluids in it before, but it's been a little while, so now is the time that I want to go ahead and do it. What else do we got going on? I got a van coming in this week that I got to pull a motor and trans out of for another project that hopefully we can go through this winter. I'm not sure if you guys even noticed, maybe you did, but we're missing a hoist over here. I tore down the hoist where the cables went across the floor. That one pulled down and sold, and then I had another one standing in the corner that I was going to put just on the other side of the toolboxes. That one got sold as well, and I bought another one that looks like this where the cables go up over the top. So the one that I did buy is a bend pack. It's a 10,000 pound asymmetric arms, so the arms are kind of like twisted sideways so you can open a car door and it allows for the door to open. It also is 6 inches taller than any other 10,000 pound hoist in its class. So that should give me enough room. I'm only 6'1", 6'2", but I always find that I'm just a little bit too high to actually walk comfortably under a vehicle and work on it. So I got rid of the one that we had. It was just like a Chinese one or whatever. But it did its job for the amount of time that we had it, so we got rid of that. I'll buy a nice name brand, good style hoist that I feel safe being under at 2 o'clock in the morning or whatever time that I'm out here. And it's a little bit taller. Hopefully that makes things a little bit easier for myself to get in and under. The black hoist that the mock is on right now, when I tried to lower that down, it bent these rods right here. So I have 4 brand new rods. These rods are the locking rods, so you can pull the one lever and all the locks pull out and it will let the whole thing lower. I'm not exactly sure what happened, but one of the legs stayed locked, the other 3 were unlocked. It started to come down and obviously that corner of the car stayed high. And yeah, my 68 was on it at the time. The rest of the legs were probably a foot and a half lower than the back passenger side that had got locked or stayed locked or whatever you want to say, and almost dumped the car right off the side of the hoist. The one leg was kind of all weird because that one you do not bolt to the ground. It has casters on it that when you lower it, it will pick all the legs up. You can drive it around kind of wherever you want to do it. So yeah, I'm very, very, very lucky that I saw it before it got any worse and I dumped a car off the side of it. So if you have a hoist like that, make sure you're always watching. I was watching the front of the car and I was looking down the driver's side of the car, and everything looked okay, but kind of the height that it was at, I could not see underneath the vehicle any longer to kind of check that back corner. And the only way I knew was looking at that back driver's side leg, and it was kind of tilted in because it was, you know, pulling it under. So like I said, be very careful, guys. You know, cars weigh a lot, and you have a lot of money and time and, you know, effort and emotion and everything tied up into them. So be careful. Anyways, $145 later, I got 4 new rods, and we're gonna throw those on. So hopefully tonight, one, you're caught up, you kind of understand where we're at and maybe how we got here a little bit. 2, we're gonna do those rock lights. All I'm gonna do is crawl underneath and mount that circuit board that I showed you, or that like motherboard or whatever you want to call it, somewhat to the center, kind of close to the center, so that all of the legs that go out to the lights can kind of reach it. And then I'm going to, this thing used to have 2 lights down here in the front that face forward to the truck. I'm going to jump off of that wiring to run all those rock lights underneath. So there is 12 lights like I mentioned. My plan is to put 1 in the center in the back, 1 in the center in the front, and then I'll have 5 up each side, which should put them about every 2 feet. I think that'll be good enough. It's what we're gonna get. And yeah, we'll go from there. So like I said, I'm just gonna screw it up to the wood underneath, and then all the wiring that's running back and forth, I'll just run some P-clips. Again, little short screws right up into the wood, shouldn't take too long, and then we'll wire it in. We'll throw some power to it and see what it looks like. Next, after that, what I want to do is get those 4 rods onto that hoist, because currently to go up or down where the mock is, I need to have either 2 people here to like twist, one guy at the back to twist those locks, one guy at this side to twist this lock to move it up and down, or I gotta like try and vice grip it, and it gets all shady. So let's just put the new rods on there. It shouldn't take too long. Just unscrew the ones that are on it, screw the new one in, be done with ourselves. So that's where we're at, that's what we're doing. And yeah, it's been a heck of a lot of talking, but glad to see you all here. I really do appreciate you coming back, and let's get back into some content. I just got a ton of stuff to do. You know, this black car, like I said, it's got to be done for summer. We got a motor and trans to do. We got Holly to do. We got Mach 1 stuff to do. I got a forklift to do. I got stuff. We just got stuff to do. And I still got a really good project way over there on the far side of the shop that is crying for attention. You know, I moved it here so that it was in my way and I would finish it, because it's been sitting far too long. And yeah, it's time to get her done. So what do I always say? Do stuff.